Repression, how is it different than disassociation or coping with negative emotions? So repression is just a form of disassociation. They can both be linked to low dopamine levels or trauma. With both disassociation and repression, you're going to find that you're not going to remember either certain events or certain emotions. They're both considered defense mechanisms. They both defend your psyche from being able to remember the trauma that was experienced. They both differ in their extremes. So with repression, you can repress a lot of things or a little bit of some things, or you can disassociate for a long period of time and not know what's happening, or you can disassociate a little bit here and there. And I can give you some quick examples of what it looks like to disassociate on a small scale. So disassociation on a small scale would be something like daydreaming. It would be something like talking to somebody and them saying, "Are you listening?" And you're just kind of like, "I don't remember what you said." Your mind starts to wander. Your brain gets to a point where it's more difficult for it to be able to focus on one thing, which kind of bleeds into symptoms of ADHD, but I'm trying to just focus with this video specifically on repression and disassociation. Another quick one with disassociation is just blank stares, staring blankly at people. They may pick up on it, they may not. You may be thinking about something completely different while staring at a person or a thing. That's a disassociation. You're not consciously aware of exactly what you're doing in the exact moment. It's basically the opposite of being fully mindful. With repression, you can repress certain emotions to the point where somebody can ask you how you feel about a certain thing that may be drastic, and you would just be, your affect and what you might say is inappropriate with the response or with what is happening in your life. For example, I could meet with somebody whose father just passed away, and I knew that they had a good relationship, and I could ask them how they feel about it, and they're just kind of like, the things are fine, it's whatever. That's a defense mechanism called repression, just so that you don't have to experience the full measure of the negative emotion at that time. Now, one thing about repression and disassociation that I want everybody to understand is that everybody does it at some level and at some point in time. For example, for myself, I don't remember anything before I was 5 years old. I remember getting a bike for Christmas, but other than that, I honestly don't remember much of anything. Now, you could say that's brain development, which is the case in a lot of ways, but at the same time, some people that I've met with, if they experience a traumatic event, they can recall that before the age of 5, but then again, it can also be repressed. So you can repress memories and emotions. Now, back to the beginning of the video, repression is different than coping with negative emotions. For example, I had a client that would like to vacuum when she would get really stressed out, and that was her way in her mind of coping. But what she would do when she was vacuuming is try to block out any negative thoughts. So if you're blocking out negative thoughts, you're repressing. If you're vacuuming and you're still processing the events in your mind, then you're coping. There's a huge difference there. So for you, you need to identify if you are repressing a lot of emotion. You need to be thinking about that. Obviously, some people, because it's so out of their awareness, they need to come into talk therapy so that they can identify what repressed memories or emotions that they might have. And again, it's really hard to do it on to yourself. You can through meditation practices and things like that. It just takes a long time. But when you come into therapy and as you talk, you go from your subconscious to your conscious mind, and then it comes out. And a lot of people experience this just in talking with friends. They'll be talking about a certain event when they're a child, and then they'll go, oh, I remember this. That's just a repressed memory that came to their conscious mind. Then you also need to identify if you are disassociating very much throughout your day. It's hard to do because you're not aware that you're doing it, right? So a lot of times you might need to be with a friend or somebody else and just ask them, hey, did I zone out a lot? Have I been daydreaming a lot? You might know if you're daydreaming, but you also sometimes don't feel like you're in control of how much you might disassociate. Disassociation goes really deep. There's other diagnoses that have to do with not remembering really long periods of time of your life. There's other forms of disassociation where it's called derealization or depersonalization. You might not feel like your reality or your environment's real, or you feel like there's a part of your body that isn't where it's supposed to be or isn't real. I'll like to do a video on that at some point just because I find it pretty fascinating. So anyways, this is educational. Identify about repression and disassociation, and then just see kind of what that might mean for you. If it's trauma related, go to talk therapy. Just do it. It's not a big deal anymore, all right? Let's get rid of the stigma. And if it's not, then there may be another diagnosis like ADHD or some other thing that may be going on. Now, there's another element of anxiety that plays a role in this, because people that are highly anxious can tend to forget things or whatever because their brain is just going in a ton of different directions. So that's probably another video for another day. Thanks. Oh, if you do have any other questions, please ask in the comments. I'll answer any questions that you have when it comes to repression, disassociation, coping, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.